Okay folks, so I rather cleverly titled this video "The Distro Hop, Skip and a Jump" because that's literally what I did. Okay, background. I distro hop quite a lot. It's just something I do. I'm not going to try and explain it or analyze it. It's just something I do. I've mentioned it before on here, and I'm sure some people are tired of hearing it. Anyway, meaning I change the Linux distribution I use quite frequently. So I was using, up until fairly recently, Pop! OS, which I like a lot. Then I went back to Linux Mint, which I did a video on where I had sort of updated the desktop look and feel a little bit, and it was a version 21.3 at the time, which was a few weeks ago. So more lately, I was looking for something with Debian base instead of Linux Mint, instead of Ubuntu base. And I saw Vanilla OS, and I thought about that a little bit because it's actually a immutable system, and I thought that would be kind of interesting to try. So it's Debian based, Debian SID, I believe, and it has an immutable core and an AB root system where if something gets screwed up, you can restart and pick the last known good configuration sort of thing. That's the sort of idea of it. And I wanted to try. I wanted to see how using an immutable system was different, what it involved and so on. So I tried to install it, and I couldn't install it. Now, it would launch, it would start the installer. It would let me do some stuff, but then it would just stop. The installer would stop. There's no error. It would just stop and basically freeze up. So I tried several different ways I tried starting it in safe mode. I went back and verified the checksum on the ISO that I downloaded to make sure it wasn't corrupted or something. The only thing I can think of was that it might have been because I was using Ventoy, which is a bootable USB arrangement where you can put multiple ISOs onto a single USB drive and pick from them in a menu system, which is quite nice to have as like a recovery media. But I had started using Ventoy recently because it seemed to be more successful for me than just using an ISO. I'd had a couple of issues with installing a Zorin OS in the past, and seemingly Ventoy allowed me to do that. So I figured Ventoy was a good option, but in this case it did not work, and I didn't get to try just using the vanilla OS as its own bootable media. So anyway, I kind of gave up on that. I thought, well, let's try Pop! OS Cosmic, because there is a alpha version of Pop! OS, which I had on, as I mentioned before. I thought, I'll try Cosmic. Yeah, it's an alpha, but the stuff I'd seen, it seemed to be okay. It was usable. I'll try it for a few weeks and see, what it's like. So I installed it. It looks very nice. It looks nice and clean. Seemed to work pretty well, except when I got to the part when I tried to install, I use something called pCloud, which is kind of like OneDrive or Dropbox, that kind of thing. It's a cloud drive system you can copy data to or sync up your drives however you want to use it. Anyway, I use that a lot for additional storage, and I could not get it to work. I usually use the app image. So I downloaded the app image, and normally what you would do is just right click on the app image, set it to be executable, and then you can run it. Well, right clicking in the menu on the Pop! OS does not give an option to do that, to set it as executable. So I tried setting it via chmod from the terminal, and that didn't work either. You would run the item, and it would just sit there. It wouldn't do anything. There was no error message, nothing. It didn't pop up, nothing. So I tried a couple of other things. Would not work. There was some additional files that you might need to download for certain versions of Linux. I tried that as well. The files apparently downloaded and installed, but the thing just would not launch. And I rebooted and did all the usual kind of stuff. So I went, well, it's an alpha. What are you going to do? So ended up, that was my hop, my skip. And then my jump is I went back to went back to Linux Mint 20, this time version 22. So I'm actually on Linux Mint again, but it's version 22 this time, the LTS version. And there's not that many changes in it, to be honest. You can see here the sound server was switched to Pipewire, which I kind of don't care about. Pipewire seems to work just fine for me in past experience. Not like Wayland. Wayland is still a little funky for me, but Pipewire for audio seems fine. Kernel version is now 6.8. This is, again, another long-term release. That's fine. I had 6.9. I think in the other one I'd updated it myself. It uses the Ubuntu 2404 base. There's some stuff with Flatpaks, a couple of other things. But it looks, as you can see, basically the same. So I sort of took, 2 steps forward and 1 steps back, or 2 steps back and 1 steps forward. I'm not really sure what I did. But I'm back at Cinnamon Desktop, slightly modified, and Linux Mint again. So here I am. Next up, when Cosmic does, when Pop OS does get to the Cosmic, the actual full version, I will install that again, I'm sure, because I do like Cosmic Pop OS quite a bit. So we'll try that when it comes back. I'd still like to get, I'd like to get something that's based on Debian, like LMDE, although the LMD version now is a little old. So maybe when it comes up, maybe when there's a newer version of LMDE, LMDE 7, I'll try that. Because I do like basing off Ubuntu or basically basing off Debian for some reason. That gives me kind of a warm fuzzy. So anyway, back at Linux Mint with the slightly modified Cinnamon Desktop, and I got my icons all set up nicely. And that's me. That's the kind of stuff I do. Hey, thanks for listening. Take care. Bye-bye.